Hello everyone, welcome to our session in Maharishi AyurVeda Tips for Busy People. And this session is on spring cleansing. It's spring, or almost, in Iowa. It's March, end of March. And the snow is melting, we're thawing out, we're happy. But it's a major change of season, going from Vata season, cold, windy, dry, rough, season to Kapha season, spring. So it's the biggest transition from Vata to Kapha. They're opposite in almost every quality except cold. So spring season is cool, moist, sweet, heavier. Things start to grow. But something happens in the physiology that we need to understand and need to know how to balance. And as we'll see, spring is the best time for cleansing. So the cool, soft, sweet, moist weather of spring increases the heavy quality in the body. And due to heavier foods and coldness all during the winter, this heaviness, even though it's Vata season, but some heaviness and some coldness will also aggravate Kapha. Kapha. So Kapha can accumulate even in Vata season. And then the warmer sun rays, the sun's coming back in the northern hemisphere from the south, those warmer rays start to melt that accumulated kapha, and that can block the channels. Plus the kapha itself of the season is increased. So channels can get blocked. Many people get spring allergies, hay fever in May or something. And that's because of this feature that kapha is accumulated and starts to melt and it blocks the channels. So it's the ideal time for cleanse. So cleansing is not just the body, it also is the mind. Mind and body are intimately related and they go together. You affect one, you affect the other. So in Maharishi AyurVeda, we're holistic, we like to do both. And so how do we do that? Well, let's start with principles. Our true nature, what we want to come back to is our true nature. It's called Prakriti, our real nature. That's health, that's balance. That's our own brilliance, our own unique contribution to the world and the universe. And we can only do that really effectively if we have good health. So what's our true nature? Balance and happiness is really our nature. If we're balanced, we feel better, we feel happier. And our true nature is that consciousness, that ocean of consciousness, the self, pure conscious, unified field of all the laws of nature. That's our ultimate self. That's our deepest nature, our true nature. And that field is the basis of all the aspects of mind and body, as we've seen in our understanding of Maharishi AyurVeda. So we enliven that field through all the unique, unified field-based approaches of Maharishi AyurVeda for mind, body, and environment. And we'll go through a few of them today. So consciousness is the basis of health, the key to balancing the physiology. And awakening the inner intelligence of physiology is to come to the ocean of intelligence, that field of perfect balance, pure consciousness. And we're fortunate at MIU, we have Maharishi's Transcendental Meditation, simplest and most effective way, we think, to experience that field of consciousness. And this was a remarkable study done a few years ago on the effects of TM on reducing mortality, heart attack, and stroke. Compared to health education in the red bar, 47%, almost 50% reduction over 5 years of reduction in mortality, in death, heart attack, and stroke in this significantly sized study. Very powerful understanding of what this can do, enlivening that inner intelligence through coming to the field of pure intelligence. And transcendental meditation has been shown in research by Dr. Travis and Shear at our Brain Research Institute in MIU and many other institutes, measuring the EEG, the electrical activity of the brain, in different meditations. And Dr. Travis and Dr. Shear have identified 3 main types of meditation: focus attention, all the concentration meditations where you're focusing on any aspect, on the breath or some thought or anything, and focusing on it, and trying to push out other thoughts. That creates fast brain waves, like when you're doing a difficult math problem. It's called Gamma waves, 20 to 50 cycles per second. You see the very close together up and down lines on the top chart. That's gamma, focused attention. Has a value of increasing the focus, but doesn't typically settle the mind. Open monitoring is second type. That's things like mindfulness, some vipassana, where you're just observing, witnessing, consciously observing their thoughts or the breath, or being conscious or being mindful during any activity. So that does change the brain waves, and it brings theta waves. And theta wave is when the engine is as if idling. And gamma is the engine is racing. Theta is the engine is idling, but still going. And then automatic self-transcending during transcendental meditation, when the brain waves become coherent all over the brain. All parts of the brain are working together in synchrony in this alpha 1 coherence, 8 to 10 cycles per second. It turns out that just pure awareness, just awareness itself, involves loops between the thalamus in the center of the brain and the cortex. These thalamocortical loops, and there's about 8 per second, just to maintain awareness itself, wakefulness itself, but without any content. And then lots of other brain waves and lots of other activities in the brain are engaged in conscious thinking, in activity, in monitoring, or in focusing. But this automatic self-transcending is when the mind is settled and experiences just consciousness all by itself. We're all by ourselves, just that pure field of consciousness. This is this unique experience in TM. So now we've switched to the physiology. So balancing the mind, we talked about. Now balancing the physiology, most of us know there are 3 governing principles in the mind-body system, particularly the physiology. The principle of vata, the principle of movement, communication, transportation. And the principle of pitta, which is heat, dynamism, transformation, digestion, metabolism, transforming things in the body. And provides energy, provides nutrients. And then kapha is the resulting structure. It's made of earth, as we'll see, earth and water elements. It's the structure, it's the cohesion holding together, and the lubrication also of the moving parts. So vata, pitta, kapha control the whole physiology. If they're in balance, we're healthy. If they're out of balance, we're not. So vata is composed of air and space elements. So it's light, moving, windy, like the wind, air and space elements. No substance, but movement, communication. So what moves in the body we know is circulation, breathing, even thoughts, even nerve impulses, all that movement and communication, that's vata, the king dosha. Pitta is fire and water, so it's heat and moisture, and so it's digestion, transformation, and metabolism, turning your broccoli into your muscles and into energy. That's all pitta, the digestive and metabolic functions of the body. And then kapha is the structure, the cohesion, lubrication, as we've seen, made of earth and water elements. So it's heavy, cold, sticky, puts things together, lubricates things. So these are the 3 principles, governing principles of intelligence that manage the whole physiology. And vata is responsible for enthusiasm, breathing, movement, balanced development of the tissues, because you need a supply chain and you need some controlling intelligence to provide the sequence of development of the tissues, and also a balanced release of the waste products, urine, stool, and sweat, are a function of downward moving vata. Pitta is hunger, thirst, heat, digestion, metabolism, cheerfulness. Balanced pitta is cheerful. And intellect, that sharpness, that discrimination. Pitta is sharp, that sharp discrimination. And speech, involving pitta. And kapha is the structure, the binding, the firmness, and the lubrication, and also the patience. So the fluids in the body, and the synovial fluid in the joints, and the fat, and some degree the muscle, all is kapha structure in the body. So everyone has their own balance of vata, pitta, and kapha that's predominant in their mind-body system, their mind-body type. We call it prakriti in AyurVeda. And so it's important we know our physiology, our general nature, and we want to come back to our own true nature. And there are 7 mind-body types. Of course, there's Vata, Pitta, Kapha, and then the combinations. And so there are all kinds of quizzes online that one can take to learn about one's mind-body type, and that's a basic foundational knowledge. So first we need to know our mind-body type, and then we need to know our imbalance, and we put those together and determine the specific procedures for us for purifying and balancing the physiology. And for that, it's good to learn how to take your pulse in the self-pulse reading course at MIU, or to have a consultation by a Maharishi AyurVeda practitioner or physician. So let's look at the mind-body types. Vata type, it's air and space, so lighter, thinner build, performs activity quickly. Vata's moving. Tendency to dry skin, Vata's dry, there's no liquid, it's air and space. Aversion to cold weather, Vata's cold, no heat there. Irregular hunger and thirst. Irregular is the feature of Vata. It's just like the wind moving here and there. Quick to grasp new information, also quick to forget. That's a Vata trait. Tendency towards worry, towards too much thinking. Tendency towards constipation, because the seat of Vata is the large intestine, and it becomes dry if Vata gets aggravated. And we aggravate Vata by too much movement, staying up late, running around, rushing around, not taking enough rest, and so forth. And tendency toward light and interrupted sleep. The sleep word is mentioned, hiding behind me there. Interrupted sleep, because too much activity in the mind and nervous system. So that's Vata type. You can score yourself on how many of these traits you see in yourself. Characteristics of Pitta type. Medium build, performs activity with medium speed, aversion to hot weather, because Pitta is fire, already hot inside. Sharp hunger and digestion, Pitta is hunger and digestion. Medium time to grasp new information, and also medium retention, medium memory. Tendency towards irritability and temper, enterprising and sharp in character. Prefers cool foods and drinks to put out the fire. Tendency towards reddish complexion, hair, freckles, and moles. Tend to be good speakers because intellect and that precise thinking, that sharp intellect. And can't skip meals. We have to get out of the way of a Pitta if it's mealtime. Now Kapha, solid, heavier build, bigger muscular, bigger bones, greater strength and endurance because that earth and water elements are more predominant in that physiology. Oily, smooth skin. That oiliness, that unctuousness comes from that mixture of earth and water. Slow digestion, mild hunger. There's no fire in Kapha. I mean, everybody has digestive fire, but a Kapha predominant person, then there's more of these Kapha features, and Kapha has no fire. Slow to grasp new information, and slow to forget. Good long-term memory. Slow to become excited or irritated. You know people, just stability, they're chill. Sleep is heavy and long, and hair is plentiful, tends to be darker in color, more oily hair, oily skin, and more plentiful full hair. Also big round face, big round eyes, big physiology, well-covered joints, things like that. So you can determine, just from this, a basic understanding of one's mind-body type. But most people actually are a combination of two. And Vata, Pitta, Pitta, Vata is very common like that. So if you have a combination of these, then that is your mind-body type. So how do we balance the physiology? Well, we balance consciousness through meditation and some other things we'll learn about. Balance physiology through diet, exercise, and lifestyle. We're going to focus on diet here. So food is one of the 3 pillars of health in Ayurveda. Food, sleep, and pure lifestyle are 3 sub-pillars of health in Ayurveda. And what do we get from food? We get nutrients, certainly, but that's the chemical level. On a deeper level, we're ingesting the intelligence from the food. More than proteins, fats, carbohydrates, and other nutrients. Food has its own quality of intelligence, lively intelligence. And that intelligence gets transformed into our physiology. And what do we mean by intelligence of food? Well, some foods will increase Vata, Some foods will decrease vata. Spices will increase pitta and the heat. And cooling foods will decrease the heat, like greens, like sweet fruits, and juices and things like that. So that's what I mean by the intelligence. So there are 6 tastes of the food, and from that we know the effect of the food on the doshas. Specific intelligence contained in food can be determined with great precision, it's said in the Ayurvedic texts, from the taste of the food. So sweet, we all know, sour and salt. Pungent is spicy. Bitter, bitter from greens. You taste some greens, some green leafies. There's a bitter taste. And astringent is less familiar maybe, but all the beans. It's this dry kind of puckering taste. Kind of dries out the mouth. That's astringent. And the beans and also things like turmeric, persimmons, if you have a persimmons, that kind of drying taste, that's astringent. And they all have their doshas. Sweet, sour, and salty balance vata because they're all heavy. They have earth and water. And pungent, bitter, and astringent increase vata and balance kapha because they all have air in them. But pungent, bitter, and astringent. And sour, salty, and pungent, you see they're red here? They increase pitta because they all have fire. So let's see how this works. So sweet, sour, and salty in the green increases kapha because they're earth and water. Sweet is earth and water, and is fire and air, and fire and earth, and salty is fire and water. But they all have earth or water in them, so they're all heavier, so they increase kapha and they decrease vata. Sour, salty, and pungent, this in the red box, all have fire. We saw sour is fire and earth, salt is fire and water, pungent is fire and air. So they all increase pitta because they have fire. And pungent, bitter, and astringent in black, they all have air, so they all increase vata, like that. So now, if we've determined that we're vata body type, or if it's vata season, or if vata is out of balance, vata season is again in winter, then we need to pacify vata mainly. And so this is this framework for vata pacifying diet. Warm, heavier foods with ghee or oil, sweet, sour, and salty tastes, as we've seen. Soothing, satisfying dishes, insufficient quantity, enough food. Not too much, but enough. Ideal is porridges and soups. And vata wants to avoid cold, dry dishes, raw foods, and irregular meal times. And avoid pungent or reduce pungent, bitter, and astringent tastes. So pungent will be hot spices like chilies and peppers. Bitter, too many salads and leafy greens. But leafy greens, if they're cooked with some oil, then it helps a lot. And too many beans. Beans can cause gas. But the beans, if they're soaked and cooked properly, with spices, it reduces that a lot. Unsatisfying food like leftovers or dry or rushed. And fasting, not good for vata. For pitta, we want to reduce or favor, cooling or warm foods, but not hot and spicy. Medium, heavy again. Bitter, sweet, and astringent tastes balance pitta because they have no fire. And add ghee, butter, or vegetable oils. Ghee is a substance best pacifies pitta. Oil is a substance best pacifies vata. Satisfying dishes and sufficient intake of water to maintain the heat, to balance the heat. And we avoid spicy dishes, stimulants, and alcohol. Caffeine and alcohol, not so good. Pungent, sour, and salty dishes all have fire in them, so reduce those. And highly spiced foods, and insufficient quantity, because pitta has that strong digestive fire. And kapha reducing diet. Warm, light, dry foods, eat lighter. Dry dishes without much liquid, small amounts of butter, oil, and not much sugar. Pungent, bitter, and astringent tasting foods. So pungent or spicy, bitters, many vegetables, especially greens. And astringent is again beans, dals, mostly. And spices and food which increase the fire. So it's more spices. All the spices are good for kapha. And avoid heavy, fatty, oily dishes, lots of cheesy, oily foods, large quantities of food, especially at night, and especially in the springtime. Sweet, sour, and salty foods reduce because they all have earth or water, they're heavy. And high-calorie beverages and an excessive intake of liquids also, because water and earth are kapha. Okay, so general guidelines, and there are more details you can find on the AyurVeda Partners website. Now, detox diet for all body types. So for everyone, if it's time to detox, which is spring, soups, well-cooked veggies, light grains like couscous, quinoa, amaranth. And cracked wheat is okay. It's cooked well, small amounts. Yellow mung dal is best for all three doshas. It's the lightest protein, probably, most digestible. And khichdi is yellow mung dal plus basmati rice cooked together, a little bit more rice than dal. Lots of recipes online for that. Stewed apples or pears for a light breakfast, maybe with some cinnamon and raisins. And sipping hot water throughout the day. It's a general detox diet that most people can do. And here's the hot water recommendation from the Maharishi's course on diet, digestion, and nutrition. Boil pure spring water 5 to 10 minutes. 10 minutes for kapha, 5 minutes for vata and pitta. Put in a thermos and sip every half hour. It's not the quantity, it's the frequency. And what this does is it stimulates the digestive fire, the Agni. It helps to digest and dissolve the impurities and the ama, the undigested food substance in the body. And also opens simultaneously the channels of circulation, and it cleanses the digestive tract, helps flush out impurities. So hot water is really good for cleansing. If a person is strong pitta or has acidity in the digestive tract or any pitta disorders, then it should be boiled in warm water, not hot water. Elimination of toxins. First is kindling the digestive fire. So digestive spices like ginger, cumin, pepper, fennel, coriander, hing, basil, mustard seed, or ajwain to stimulate digestion. And also ghee, lemon juice, and hot water can also stimulate digestion. Small amounts of ghee actually kindles the fire. The hot water routine we just saw. And ginger pickle is a good digestive. You grate fresh ginger, add a little bit of lemon juice and salt, fresh lemon juice and salt, and take a spoonful before meals. Herbal preparations like a limtox O, Triphala rose, and herbal cleanse are some of the Maharishi AyurVeda herbal formulations. Very good. Lighter diet, just eating lighter, 3/4 of capacity or less. And periodic liquid diet. Maybe one day of rest, you take liquid during that day. You have soups and teas and dal, things like that. Or even one meal a week for those who need to do less cleansing and have stronger pitta. And continued removing toxins, cleansing the digestive tract, digesting the ama. Lemon juice and honey and warm water first thing in the morning is good. Also the hot water routine is good. Now spices. Spices are, to a large degree, nature's pharmacy. And the nature of spices is generally to strengthen digestion. And they stimulate the digestive fire, the Agni, directly. So ginger is said to be the universal medicine in Ayurveda. And its nature is, its sweet tastes are pungent and sweet. And it is heating by nature. And it pacifies kapha and vata. Can increase pitta. Dry ginger has a sweet aftertaste, so it increases pitta less than fresh ginger. It promotes appetite and digestion, helps to calm the upset stomach, good for gas, bloating, and cramps. And modern research has shown ginger is good for motion sickness, arthritis, asthma, even cancer, migraines, and useful possibly in heart attack and stroke. These are all modern studies on ginger. Cardamom is warming, sweet, pungent, and sharp, but it's not very heating. It's okay for most pitta people in small amounts. Actually balances all three doshas. It's excellent digestive. Because it has sweet, pungent, and sharp, it has several tastes, so it can balance all three doshas. Excellent digestive, good for gas and bloating, and seeds are to refresh the breath. And modern research shows it's good for digestive relief, can lower blood pressure and help prevent blood clots, eases asthma, and can help clear sinus infections. Wonderful tasting, sweet, delicious spice, cardamom. Here's a lady harvesting cardamom, presumably in India or somewhere. Coriander is also tridoshic, balances all three doshas. It's cooling, it's sweet and astringent. It has an unusual flavor. It has a sweetness, but that's kind of aromatic flavor. It was found in King Tut's tomb and in archaeological digs over 9,000 years ago. It's mentioned in Exodus in the Bible. Coriander aids digestion, it whets the appetite, it's good for allergies, purifies the blood, good for urinary infections, even diabetes. And modern research shows it soothes irritable bowel, chronic constipation, reduces eczema and psoriasis, and good for diabetes and cholesterol. And the picture shows the leaf, sometimes called cilantro, of the coriander plant, and the seeds, the coriander seeds. Wonderful, wonderful spice. Good for pretty much everybody, all three doshas. And cumin is also said to balance all three doshas, but it can, in small amounts, okay, but it's a little heating, can increase pitta a bit, so a little careful there. Helps to flush the toxins. It's great digestion. The Romans used cumin to pay their taxes. That's how valuable it was. Aids in diarrhea. So cumin is called grahi. It helps to form the stool, so it can slow down diarrhea. Combines well with turmeric, fennel, coriander, ginger, and cinnamon. All great digestives. You can make waters, teas out of these. Cumin, coriander, and fennel is a famous detox tea. We'll see later. Modern research shows that cumin can lower blood sugar and reduce hemoglobin A1C, can lower inflammation in the pancreas, and can help find cancer. Wonderful spice. Now turmeric. Thousands of modern studies on turmeric. One of the most studied. So it is pungent, bitter, and mildly astringent. It's a little bit heating, but it pacifies pitta and kapha and helps move vata downward. So good for all three doshas. Extremely good for the skin and complexion. That's its special feature called prabhav. Good for complexion. Good for the respiratory system. Good for cough, inflammation, congestion, sinusitis. It's also good for the joints. Many joint supplements have turmeric. It's also good for immunity, especially when combined with milk. Turmeric milk is famous these days. And modern research, so many studies showing turmeric is anti-cancer, good for acne, allergies, Alzheimer's, arthritis, asthma, cholesterol, colitis, depression, diabetes, dry eczema, gallbladder, gout, heart, blood pressure, liver disease, obesity, pain, Parkinson's, and stroke, in alphabetical order, and many others. So a very wonderful herb, turmeric. And we have the picture of the turmeric rhizome, and then some ground turmeric powder. Cinnamon, light, rough, and sharp. It's interesting. Pungent, bitter, and sweet tastes. It's a little bit heating, and it pacifies vata and kapha. A little bit heating, so it could increase pitta a bit, but it's, because of its sweetness, very little. So it's okay for pitta in small amounts. Used in sweets and controls blood sugar. Reduces indigestion. Good for the nervous system stimulation. Can decrease pain. Can increase circulation, and is one of the blood purifiers as well. One of the most famous spices. Here's some cinnamon sticks in the picture. Modern research shows it's good for diabetes, metabolic syndrome, blood sugar, confirming the ancient understanding. Good for polycystic ovary syndrome, cancer, helps to protect brain cells after stroke. The cinnamon, a wonderful spice, and delicious and sweet. Now fennel, cooling. This is the last spice here. Cooling, sweet with some bitter, pacifies Vata and Pitta particularly. Best digestive, general toner for the digestive system. Good for enhancing the digestive fire without aggravating Pitta, so that's a trick. Good for intellect, vision, and heart function. And modern research shows it's good for Alzheimer's, antioxidant, arthritis, cancer, colitis, colic, glaucoma, heart disease, blood pressure, menstrual cramps, and even stroke. So here we see fennel seeds. Good to chew some fennel seeds after meals, or make a tea with cumin, coriander, and fennel, as we'll see. So now putting this together, Vata balancing spices include cumin, ginger, mustard seed, pretty hot, fenugreek, hing or asafoetida, very good for Vata and gas, Vata indigestion, black pepper in small amounts because it's pungent, salt, lemon juice, tamarind, and licorice, all good for Vata. And for Vata, we avoid or reduce the really pungent spices like chilies, hot paprika, or cayenne. They can aggravate Vata because they're so dry and pungent. Pitta spices: coriander, cumin in small amounts, ginger in small amounts, turmeric, saffron, fennel, cinnamon, cardamom, lemon juice. The more cooling sweet spices are good for Pitta. And we reduce chilies, cayenne, pepper, mustard seed. Clove in small amounts is okay. It's pungent to taste, but it's actually a cooling potency, but not too much clove. Celery seeds are a little heating, and fenugreek can increase Pitta a bit. Spices for kapha. All spices except salt. Salt increases. Salt has water, so it increases kapha. But especially pungent and sharp spices, pepper, ginger, good for kapha. And lemon juice in small amounts. And we reduce salt in kapha. Okay, now for detox tea, general, cumin, coriander, and fennel. And if there's Pitta in the physiology, then we reduce the cumin to half. So 1/4 teaspoon cumin, 1/2 teaspoon coriander, and fennel. If there's no issues with heat or Pitta, then you can do equal amounts of all three. You steep for 10 minutes and strain the spices and pour the water in the thermos and sip through the day. Great detox. Spring allergy spices. If we tend to have spring allergies, or if we want to prevent it, 3 parts turmeric, 6 parts fennel, 6 parts coriander, 1 part pepper, 1 part ginger. Blend the spices together and store in a jar. And take a small amount and heat it in a frying pan with ghee. And then a teaspoon of the spice mixture per serving of vegetables, and sautéed in ghee. And we saute until the aroma is released in the ghee. Wonderful spice for cooking for spring. So turmeric, fennel, coriander, ginger, and pepper. Now, general guidelines for diet for everyone, especially important in the spring season when we want to do a little detox. It's good to take a variety of fresh, warm foods, organic food as much as possible, much preferred. We don't have poisons in our food if we have organic. Sip warm or room temperature drinks with meals. Avoid large quantity of liquids before, during, or right around the meals, because that puts out the digestive fire if we dump too much water in there. Add some lemon juice or ginger to food to stimulate the appetite and digestion. Next, general guidelines: eat with full attention. We get most nourishment if we're fully attentive to the food, sight and smell and taste and even touch. That really stimulates the salivation, and stimulates the appetite, enhances the overall nourishing quality. Don't read or watch TV while eating, because again, that distracts the mind. We don't have full attention on the food. Chew well. Digestion begins in the mouth, so good chewing is very important. And we enjoy the flavor more, and the taste lets the body know what kind of food is coming, so it can secrete the right juices at the right time. And sit quietly before eating or say grace to settle the mind and body. Prepares the mind and body to receive this blessing of the food. And we never rush eating. Very important. Just chew well, enjoy the food, and especially we don't jump up right after eating. We want to sit for a few minutes after a meal. And we eat to 3/4 of capacity. And that's about a big bowl full of food. That's 2 handsfuls is called an anjali. That's about the amount of food we should have in a meal. And overeating creates impurities or ama, which block the channels and cause most diseases in Ayurveda. Ama becomes acidified and blocks the channels. So, very important to avoid overeating. So the tip for this longer lesson, or spring cleanse, we could try having a lighter breakfast and then make a healthy, nourishing lunch with all the 6 tastes. Make it very appetizing and appealing with nice garnishes, nicely presented. And eat with family or friends. Make it a celebration. And sip hot water throughout the day. And then have a lighter dinner. So lighter breakfast, full lunch, lighter dinner. And then note how you feel in your journal. How does that make you feel today? And probably you'll notice that it makes you feel better, more energetic, and less digestive disturbance, more clear mind. And so that we try to do this regularly because you'll be healthier as a result, and you had the experience. So in summary, the food is medicine. Even Hippocrates, the father of modern medicine, said, "Let food be thy medicine." And digestion is critical for health, absolutely essential, no getting around it. And strong digestion equals good health. Note that, strong digestion equals good health. So how we eat, though, also is as important as what we eat. So full attention, chewing well, eating on the right time, eating the right foods, all very important. So hope you enjoyed the lesson on spring cleanse, and best of luck with your health. Thank you.